Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling.
Pain, loss, tragedy. Well, what you just heard with the opening is about as typical and as formal as this is going to get. I'm Eric Watkins, and this is honestly the most special episode of Point of Viewer that I've really ever done, I really ever had to do. And for the first time, well, really the third different person, because my last episode I did have a co-host, but I have a different co-host. This one's voice is going to sound a little bit familiar. One of my brothers from the Kickoff, Harry Broadhurst.
The last 48 hours have been kind of a whirlwind for the Kickoff, but more so for a specific member of the team. Do you want to do the dedication here, or shall I?
You can, because I know you had this a little bit more arranged mentally, so the floor is yours.
Originally, this week's episode of the Kickoff was supposed to have the AFC Conference and NFC Conference Championship previews, predictions, as well as a recap of what happened in the divisional round. And we at the Kickoff like to think of the show as more of a happy-go-lucky, positive, heavy moment. We have our shows where we get serious, but this is a topic that I don't think we could honestly do an episode of the Kickoff on and do it any kind of justice with what's going on. You'll notice that myself and Eric are here for this episode of Point of Viewer. The third member of the Kickoff is Jason Teasley. And as I said, with this being championship weekend, we were going to do the previews until the news came down on Tuesday that Jason's stepdad had to be hospitalized. And Jason didn't know if he was going to be available. And then we get the word this morning that his mother passed away as well. And then his stepdad passed. In honor of Jason's mother and stepfather, we are doing this episode of Point of Viewer. However, it is dedicated to Jason Teasley, his wife Amber, and their daughter Kenzie. May you find strength in whatever you believe in to help get you through these difficult times. And I know that I speak on behalf of Eric as well. Know that we are here for you, brother, no matter what you need.
Always, anytime, anywhere. Hell, I know you called when I wasn't awake. Sorry about that. Weird set of circumstances, but you know I'm getting back to you, and we're here. I mean, I know, and it's kind of a bit of a circumstance because I was filling Mama Watkins in on this, and she was hearkening back to when my grandma passed, and that's been just over 9 years, but it still hurts, especially her, a little bit less each day, but this is a kind of thing that no matter the passage of time, no matter our rotations and different things that we go on and we have in our lives, there's always going to be that void. Sure, we'll do our best to fill it. Sure that there are a lot of things that we can fill it with. And regardless of all of the happy, jovial memories and all of the great times you can reminisce on, and the fact that you still have your other loved ones with you every day that you can be around, and so much of a support system for comfort and condolences, it just won't be the same. And unfortunately, the first days are the worst days.
They say that time heals all wounds, and I don't think that's accurate, Eric.
Mm-mm.
I don't think anything actually heals this wound. I think eventually it becomes less sharp, less sudden, less out of nowhere, but I don't think you get over losing a parent.
You really don't. You really don't.
Look, me and my mom are not as close as we once were, but that has a lot to do with the fact that she lives like 6 hours away. That being said, I can tell you right now that I would be absolutely devastated if anything happened to her.
I mean, for those of you, those in my life who've gotten to meet Mama Watkins, who have the pleasure to know her one way or another, and those who have listened to all of the shows that she's been on with me and with us in the kickoff, and even back on Football to the Max, she's just so wonderful. And being as close as I am with her, I mean, I'm hoping still that it's a very long ways away, but unfortunately, death is inevitable, and when that day happens, ugh, I'm just not gonna be around for a little while.
What do you say to somebody right now? Like, what can you say? You try your best to be there for them. And I meant what I said. And I told him as much when I spoke to him because I know that he's going to have a lot on his plate the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of processing that has to be done. There's a lot of grief to be processed in the process of going through all of the arrangements that need to be made. But what can you really say that would make things better right now? I don't know that there's anything.
There
Just the
isn't.
just the promise that we're here for him. The promise that if he needs somebody to talk to, if he needs somebody to vent to, if he needs somebody to get things off his chest to, we listen, we're there, and we help him move on as best as we can, or at the very least move forward as best as he can.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, yes, there's condolences, but with everything else, it's just either platitudes or emptiness or this and that, and it's the best thing to really do. Say nothing unless necessary. Listen and offer a presence, because these presences that are still around are going to be taking on that little bit of an extra weight now that you have so many significant presences that are gone. And let's face it, we've been through sitting here everything that was 2020. As I call it, the 4 months that felt like a century. And in that time, there's so many millions of people who have lost someone or know someone who's lost someone for a variety of reasons. I'm not even going to mention the big one because we've done that before, but it's just.
Georgetta and Wetzel, his mother and stepfather. God damn, man.
It sucks. And you can go on and talking about being in a better place and circle of life and inevitable and yada yada and the blah blah blah, but it sucks. No matter what you think, believe, feel, what is on the other side, if there's the other side, that's not here. That is not in this three-dimensional space that we perceive and recognize things. And it's never going to be.
And it doesn't matter how you try to spin it. Nothing anybody says to him right now is going to make a difference.
Nope.
Like, it's you could have the best of intentions right now and extending your well wishes. You can have the best of intentions when it comes to offering to be there as best as you can. But unless you've gone through what he's going through, there's no way to understand what it is he's going through.
Not at all.
Like, I don't talk about this often because I tend to keep my personal life private, away from the auspices of the show and everything. You know, my little sister passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I've told that story on the kickoff before, back when we were doing our getting to know each other episodes and stuff like that. It's not one that I feel the need to rehash right here. My father is also deceased. And my father is the reason that I am who I am today, but for a different reason, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The exact opposite of the reason that Jason's stepdad is the reason Jason is the man he is today. We talked about before on the kickoff how Jason is with Ken's, how Jason has a special bond with Kenzie. Despite the fact that she's his stepdaughter, she may as well be his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Jason's stepdad was like a father to him. And I think I've explained too that I help out my stepdad nowadays because my mom split. She moved away. It is what it is. I don't feel the need to break into their personal life or everything. But when she moved away, she basically abandoned the situation up here where I'm at. And I couldn't, in good conscience, do that to him because he helped make me a better person back when I was a very, very troubled kid. So I understand where he's coming from when it comes to people having an influence in your life for the better after people have had an influence in your life for the worse.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing I can say that'll make his pain go away. And there's nothing that can be said that will, nor should he want it to go away. At least not in the immediate. Grief is a necessity in a situation like this. No matter how tough you might want to try to be, no matter how tough you might claim to be, no matter how tough you might act like you are, in times like this, grief is a necessity.
And it really is. And I have talked about my situation a bit to a few people, and I've been in some similar shoes to both yours and Jason's. I mean, with my father, he's the reason why I am the way that I am today for the exact wrong reasons. And, well, my mom, as sweet as she is and has been, rather than having anyone else, she took up the mantle herself. And throughout a lot of hard times in my life, she's been the one to stick around, being both mother and father, and I'm grateful for that. I mean, as I've said in the past, my childhood was mangled, but if it wasn't for her, it would be non existent. And confronting a lot of the issues that I've confronted about myself lately, taking hard looks in the mirror. Yes, you would love to have these people around, but unfortunately, when that's not an option, you do feel that still sort of emptiness no matter what is there in front of you. It's just, you can't fill in that blank. You can't.
I've quoted music multiple times on the shows before, specifically when we did our Let's Talk About It episodes. And one of the musicians that I tend to quote a lot is Maynard James Keenan, Tool, Pussifer, A Perfect Circle. And his relationship with his mother was very difficult. It's well chronicled. However, as she was about to leave this mortal coil, as it were, there were a pair of songs that were written called 10,000 Days and Wings for Marie. That was his mother's name, Judith Marie. And one of the lines from, I want to say it was from Wings for Marie, was "You believed. You believed in things that no one could see. You believed in me."
The level of depth really expected from someone of his caliber.
Hold on one second if you don't mind, Eric.
Yep, sure. Should we
Do me a
pause?
do me a favor and actually hit the button on the broadcast. There's a specific reason.
All right. Well, welcome back. See, this is the time that would have been perfect for a commercial break, just for reasons, but Point of Viewer has returned, and we have an extremely special guest that's joined the episode. Just to say out, our fellow brother from the Kickoff, Jason Teasley.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And like we were saying, we've got our plans, going to be making our picks, meld this into Kickoff-ish, but at any point, if you got anything on your mind, try to process this, let everybody know how you feel, what's going on in your head. Just fuck it, the floor will be yours.
I appreciate that.
It's the least I can do given the circumstances.
All right, so in order to attempt to bring some semblance of normality to his week, let's go ahead and discuss the divisional round games here real quick. Saturday, the early game on Saturday saw the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles won into Green Bay, and the Packers put a beating on the Rams as they advanced to the NFC Championship game that this coming up Sunday here. Hold on, I wasn't prepared to actually talk football for the entirety of the show, so I have to pull up the score lines and everything here. But yeah, the Packers.
Now you know how I feel typically on kickoff episodes.
Yeah, but
yeah,
but at the very least, that's different because you can always blame some sort of inebriation, and that's coming from me, who has resumed his penchant for drinking and smoking.
All right, so the final score was the Pack 32, the Rams 18. The game was 19-10 at halftime. The Rams scored at the start of the third quarter, and then didn't score again. And Green Bay went on to pick up a 14-point lead, meaning Green Bay not only won, they also covered, which all three of us predicted as well. And the only one of us to hit the over-under on this game was Jason. He had the over at, I think the final number ended up being 48, and it was a final of 50. So that leads us to what happened in Sunday's NFC game, as Tampa Bay went into New Orleans in the late game on Sunday, and the Buccaneers took down the Saints 30-20, breaking open a 20-20 game in the fourth quarter. A pair of Drew Brees interceptions sealed New Orleans' fate and probably ended Drew Brees' career, leading us to a NFC Championship game where the Buccaneers travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. We'll make our predictions a little bit later on, but for now, let's go ahead and discuss the events of this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Jason, which team were you most surprised by throughout the course of the divisional round of the NFC?
I'm gonna say honestly the Bucks. I mean, they're playing. Everybody expected them to beat Washington. I mean, that was a given, but they came out and that the defense actually showed up and showed out versus a much better Saints team. But playoff Brady showed up. That defense showed out, and I mean, I fully did not expect Tampa Bay to be in this position going into Green Bay in the NFC Championship.
One of us did actually pick Tampa Bay to win this game, and he ended up being correct, Mr. Watkins.
Mm-hmm. With the performances that Drew Brees were pulling offensively, I know the Patriots would have had the potential with a great defensive scheme. The execution just really laid it out for itself, as Jason mentioned, capitalizing on the mistakes in Brady, who now has appeared in more NFC Conference Championship games since 1997 than the entirety of the Dallas Cowboys. This is exactly what he does. I mean, you can't go against someone who's been in, 45, 50, 50-ish playoff games now, and is going to his 14th NFC Championship game. He had his weapons. Oh, go ahead.
14th championship game, first NFC.
First in the NFC, 13 in the AFC, but his 14th conference championship game, one win away from what would be his 10th Super Bowl. This is when the season really starts for him, and with him having the weapons, everything else was fairly foregone. You can't beat a team 3 times. Simple as that.
I'm going to say I was most surprised by how much New Orleans underperformed, and specifically how very much the elder statesman Drew Brees looked in this match. It's weird because Brees has this reputation as a gunslinger, but he did not show that during the course of this game. The only touchdown pass that New Orleans had in this game was thrown by Jameis Winston, who's apparently now going to, at least for next season, be the future in New Orleans, as the belief is that Brees is going to announce his retirement. And we'll talk about retirements being announced when we do our wrap-up, our news desk catch-up next week on the kickoff. But in this particular instance here, Brees looked every bit the guy ready to step away from football for his career here with the performance that he had in the second half. As far as the Green Bay Rams game goes, Jason, were you surprised at how well the Packers defense handled the Rams? Or do you think it was more of a case of the Rams not having their full complement of weapons here to give Green Bay a challenge?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It's just, I mean, Green Bay is definitely the team to beat in the NFC, I believe. But I think the Rams coming in not at full strength kind of hampered them. I mean, Goff not being 100%, Cup not being 100%, that takes away a lot of dink and dunk that Cooper Cup's really known for, is moving those chains. He's like Wes Welker 2.0. So I think that them not being at 100% hampered them, but I think Green Bay flipped a switch and that defense showed up. They scouted them well, and knew that if the Rams was going to beat them, they was going to have to beat them in a shootout, in which we know the Rams wasn't capable of. So hats off to how Green Bay handled that game and the game plan that they implemented.
Eric?
I mean, Jason really had it right. I knew for this game coming in, the Rams, with Jared Goff, injured thumb and all, were going to be limited on offense because for the genius that is Sean McVay, when he falls in love with a certain scheme, like his famed 11 personnel, he really uses it. Yes, Cam Akers had a pretty good day on the ground to help give a little bit of balance for that Rams offense. But if you look at the combination of Woods, Kupp, and Jefferson, yes, you've got a good measure of talent there, but really only one kind of significant deep threat, which is really taken away because of the thumb injury. So if you're going to have a lot more shorter routes, nothing really beyond 10, 15 yards, that makes it a lot easier on the Packers defense to really come up, more press up on the line, not have to worry about having like high safeties or too much of that, and they were able to succeed. Adding in the pressure that they were able to get from their defensive line, which to me was unexpected, made what was an easy job to begin with a little bit of a cakewalk. And then offensively, Aaron Rodgers on his fuck you / kiss my ass tour from the draft, well, he did more Aaron Rodgers things. No surprise.
Let's also not forget about the fact that Los Angeles spent a good portion of the game without their dominant pass rusher, Aaron Donald, who found himself injured early. which I think honestly was probably the seal for the Rams' postseason hopes, because the only way that and I think we all agree on this, the only way that the Rams were going to beat the Packers was in a defensive struggle. And the main way that that would have happened is if Donald was there to control the line. And obviously, with him not there to control the line, then Rodgers was able to do more or less everything that he wanted against the Rams.
And even with post-injury, the Packers were still focused on double teaming him, able to do so more effectively because of the injury. But that's another part of their game plan that they had locked down right from the first snap.
Over in the AFC, Saturday night's game saw the Baltimore Ravens travel to Buffalo. And what was a very close game, 3-3 at halftime, turned into a Buffalo Bills victory in the third quarter after a Josh Allen touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs. And then I'm going to screw up his name. Teron Johnson? I believe it is.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
Setting a NFL postseason record with the longest interception return for a touchdown of 101 yards as he stepped in front of a Lamar Jackson pass towards the middle of the third quarter. Jackson himself would leave the game at the end of the third quarter after a vicious hit in the end zone, clean but vicious, that caused him to smack his head off of the turf in Buffalo, and he left into the concussion protocol. The Ravens were unable to get anything going in the fourth quarter, and the Buffalo Bills advanced to the AFC Championship game for the first time since 1995.
Have I mentioned before how classy Bills Mafia is? Dude gets knocked out, and all of a sudden, there's a flood of like $8 donations to his charity, and that's up to what, $500,000? I mean, it's like real legit. I make a trip up to Buffalo, and if I'm able to attend like a pregame, I will go ahead and suplex through a flaming table.
$450,000 for backpacks for I'm trying to remember the name of the specific charity, but I'm drawing a blank on it. I'm sure Eric can find that.
Give me 1 second.
Jason, we all picked Buffalo to win on Saturday. Were you expecting the Bills' defense to be as dominant as they were, especially after the first quarter, that first drive in the first quarter, where the Ravens did go down the field, but Justin Tucker hit the upright on a field goal attempt?
Yeah, I mean, I've bought fully in on Buffalo this postseason. I knew that they could plan and scheme to limit Lamar's running ability and make him throw the ball, and because Lamar Jackson will not beat you with his arm. I mean, Buffalo had issues containing Lamar at times, but in the long run, they limited it. They was a bend but don't break on that aspect, and they didn't let him get outside the pocket too much. They played a really good coverage on all receivers to make him try to scramble and then make the throw, and get him a little flustered. So yeah, I was totally on board with Buffalo and what they did and how they executed it. Foreshadowing, I think that this next week's game is going to have a similar outcome.
Eric, it's Blessings in a Backpack.
Yep.
Is the name of Lamar Jackson's charity. It came to me while Jason was giving his thoughts. I wanted to ask you the same question I asked him. Were you surprised at how well the Bills' defense was able to handle Lamar Jackson, especially after that first quarter drive that ended in the missed field goal?
Not at all. And this is why I was the one that said, hey, if you're going to bet this game with the total, go ahead and hammer the under. Because the Bills...
I said that too.
Well, the Bills defensively, one credit is they kind of mirror themselves in organization offensively. And what do I mean by that? The Bills knew they really weren't going to have much of an efficient run game after what Baltimore did to Derrick Henry in Tennessee the week prior. So they knew that it was going to be on Josh Allen. Not really a whole lot of deep balls or anything like that, but he was going to have to throw it a lot. And to give him a chance, they knew their defensive strategy is okay. We won't be able to really run. Let's make sure don't let them run either. And they did that. They kept Lamar Jackson really contained in the pocket, trying to find throwing lanes. And then secondary, very impressive under the circumstances. Not many opportunities for deep plays, forcing Baltimore to be as one-dimensional as the Bills really chose to be, and said, we're going to beat you at your own style, going to beat you at your own game. So this was just not just great execution, but a little bit of a class in tactics as well.
And tactics that I think Buffalo is going to have to carry over into this week. I will give my thoughts on Buffalo's performance a little bit later on. Longtime listeners to the Kickoff know, I'm not sure the point of view knows or not, because I'm not sure how many of these have happened lately and how much you talk about your life on the other podcasts here on the show. I am a
Oh, if you were to take a trip through these archives, yeah.
I am a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, if nobody listening knows. I have been a diehard Buffalo Bills fan since the early 90s when I was a little boy. And this is the first time since I'm of an age that I actually remember it. I was 10 the last time the Bills were in the AFC Championship. Not quite 10, the last time the Bills were in the AFC Championship game. So this will be the first games that I have full recognition of, full acknowledgement of, and full ability to understand everything that's going on and what's surrounding it for my team. So, excuse me, I got the hiccups. It's quite the accomplishment to see how far this team has come just within the last couple of years, ever since the drafting of Allen back in 2017.
Well, I mean, he said himself he wanted to be drafted by a small team in a small town. He hates traffic, didn't want to live in a high-rise, so this was the perfect atmosphere for him. He's used to all kinds of the weather conditions for those that saw him sling the ball around as a Wyoming cowboy, so this is just what happens when everything comes together and everything gels.
The Sunday game, the early game on Sunday, that was the Cleveland Browns traveling to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And, well, I don't like to speak in absolutes because football is a superfluous game.
Before you finish that thought, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Fuck you, Chad Henne. Continue.
Old Jacksonville Jaguar fan habits come to roost. Oh my God, that motherfucker's going to get a ring in Kansas City, and I'm going to be pissed at you for letting another one get away.
Yeah, gee, you think this? If it happens, this would be his second. And he was the starting quarterback for the first Jaguars game I attended in person.
Was that the Monday night debacle?
No, this was before that. This was Tom Brady came into town, which was funny because we were all wearing red shirts because red is a Jaguars color naturally. 23-16, seeing Brady lead a game-winning drive and thinking to myself, oh hell, Chad Henne could actually do something, and no, he didn't.
I think we need to talk about the Cleveland game and specifically where that game turned towards the end of the first half, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland, they went away from their strong suit. It was a major turnaround on a controversial call that we all agreed that the ruling of that call needs to be overturned. Of the ball going out of the end zone comes out to the opposing team on the 20, where as our cohort Randy Isbell pointed out on the R&R Sports Report or whatever it's fucking called. I got R&R right. That's all that matters. That if the ball goes out of the field of play anywhere else, it goes back to the fumbling team at the point of the ball going out of bounds. So when it was fumbled out of the end zone on a very controversial call, might I add, um, I think that took a lot of wind out of Cleveland's sails, and it definitely turned the tide into Kansas City's favor.
Eric, the Sorensen hit that caused the fumble, do you think that's something that should be reviewable in the future?
Absolutely. That's something that's reviewable in the CFL. That's something that's reviewable in often leads to ejections in college. We've seen that with Clemson.
Targeting.
Yeah, the targeting. So I think the NFL should follow suit. If they're really on board with this latest revolution of keeping with concussions, the whole lawsuit involving CTE, and all of these things with player safety, if I'm on the competition committee, I add that one in as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason that shouldn't have been reviewed. And then the fumble becomes irrelevant because it becomes as a result of a dirty hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how many Kansas City fans we know, that was a dirty hit. He led with his helmet intentionally.
Well, I mean, they acknowledge his nickname is Dirty Dan Sorensen, which I swear, if he ever wants to talk about an alternate post-football career, he needs to hit me up because I got some ideas as far as him and marketing and OnlyFans.
I'd say family show, but it's not my show to say that.
You have no power here, Broadhurst.
Good grief. But overall though, how do you guys think the Browns did for themselves here? Their first playoff win in 26 years, because apparently Buffalo can't have nice things even in modern day NFL. We break the streak for the longest time between postseason victories, and then Cleveland beats it the next day.
Well, I mean, not only for that, but hey, it's another extra reminder of Bill Belichick. I mean, we saw how they added in those Browns Patriots highlights from their last playoff win.
Well, they had to do something to get Belichick in this year's postseason because it damn sure wasn't going to be the Patriots.
This is also true, but here's some good news for you. While they did
good news, everybody.
Good news, everyone. While the Browns they broke off a lot of streaks, checked off a lot of boxes, I'm going to flat out say it. I think in a few ways they overachieved. Reading an ESPN article projecting next year's playoff seeds and how they'll break down, I'm in agreement. I think the Browns take a step back. I don't think the Bills do. I really think this is a time where the Bills will be able to continue to capitalize no matter how this season ends. So there's some comfort.
Well, let's talk about how this season is going to end, if it ends this particular Sunday. We'll get to our championship game predictions here in a second here. I wanted to take a quick moment to say what I was going to say on the kickoff, in that 27 years. 1994 was the last time the Buffalo Bills had won a playoff game. The wild card round game against the Miami Dolphins in Buffalo, in what ended up being Don Shula's last game as an NFL coach. 27 years of, this team can't get it done. This team is snake bitten. This team is hurt. This team is jinxed. This team is this. This team is that. 2 postseason victories, allowing an average of 13 points a game. Win ugly. But to borrow a quote from Al Davis, just win, baby.
Exactly. Now we can't sit here and talk about, 22-19 or 10-3. That's gone now. Not for me, but it's gone for you.
Well, you're definitely not ever going to let 10-3 go. I know that much for damn sure. I've known that for the last 4 years.
You gotta hang on to something while you're here in Jacksonville. Although, next time anything like of that magnitude happens, then I'll be able to let it go.
Man, and we'll talk about this when we do our news and notes next week. Now I'm going to have to deal with my old coach again down there. What is it with you taking coaches from my teams, Eric?
It's not my fault. I'm not ownership. I'm not Shad Khan. I'm not Trent Baalke. This is just how we operate.
Did they fire Mark Lamping yet?
Sadly, no.
Bastards.
By the way, I'm going to put this out on Twitter. Does anybody know any good voodoo specialists or things like that? At this rate, with everything else going on, I'm going to need all the extra mojo I can get him out of here.
You guys ready to make some conference championship game predictions?
Yep.
All right, we'll start off how we usually do, Mr. Teasley. The NFC game is the early game at 3:05 on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite. The over/under, I got ahead of myself there, is 51.5.
I'm taking Green Bay in the over.
And you're saying that the Pack covers?
Yeah, I think the Pack covers by 7 or more.
And over. All right, Mr. Watkins. Actually, no. You know what, Eric? You go last because it's your show. I'll go next. I agree with Jason on 2/3 of that equation. I think Green Bay wins. I think Green Bay covers. I'm taking the under, though. I don't see this as a very high-scoring game because I think that we've officially reached the time of the season where even in 2020, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And the Packers proved that they can do it defensively against the Rams last week, taking down the number one ranked defense in the entirety of the NFL this year. I'm saying the Packers win, and they win pretty convincingly. We'll say 24-7.
Yeah, it is 2020, even though it's 2021. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was taking a peek at the weather for this one. I'm slightly disappointed that the forecast is being called for being slightly warmer, because for a setting like this, the frozen tundra of Lambeau would be perfect. So when I first saw, it was going to be 24 degrees and a chance of snow. Great. Now I'm seeing forecasts where kickoff temperature could hover right around 32. Less great. But in all that time, I noted this. Tom Brady is great in cold weather. Rob Gronkowski is good in cold weather. What about the rest of this team? I think it's too much of a wild card. I think Brady is going to be frustrated, and I honestly think that he will drop to 9-5 in his conference championship career. I'm with Harry. Give me the Packers straight up. Give me the Packers covering. Give me the under. I don't see the Bucs generating enough offense to really help get anywhere near 51.5.
The AFC Championship game is at 6:40 on Sunday on CBS as the now 15-3 Buffalo Bills travel to Arrowhead Stadium to face the 15-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Jason, Kansas City is a 3-point favorite with an over/under set at 54.
I'm taking Buffalo in the over.
Obviously, Buffalo against the spread if you have them winning outright.
Yeah, I have Buffalo winning outright.
Eric, do you mind if I go last on this one?
Sure, I don't mind at all. And
Okay.
this is actually a pretty interesting sort of a squid bit for this one.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dramatic reverb.
We had to work one in.
Oh, it's obligatory given the three of us. So, with Mahomes in play, clearing concussion protocol, ready to go the works. The Chiefs would be a 4-point favorite. Simple as that. Without Mahomes, Vegas has mentioned this, other sports books have mentioned this, the Bills would be a 3-point favorite. Flat out and out. So normally when you have a lot of players in the NFL to where you're lucky if they're worth a half a point, we're seeing a touchdown difference. The NFL is going to try to do what they can to get Mahomes to play. He is going to do what he can to get himself to play. But even as we're recording this on a Thursday night, a little under 48 hours from the opening kick, I am going to go out on a limb. I don't see that happening. I'm going to go ahead. Even with, say he does come out, it's not going to be a really overwhelming performance. This isn't the kind of thing you immediately bounce back from. I am going to join Jason on this. Give me the Bills, not just to cover, but give me the Bills straight up. And what did you say the total was? 54?
54.
I'm going to sweat a bit at the end, but give me the under. Barely, but the under.
$1994. Significant year in Buffalo Bills history.
Significant year,
Two
period.
For two reasons. First, the Bills' final playoff victory came in 1994, in December of 1994. Interestingly enough, Buffalo's last AFC Championship game also happened in 1994, January of 1994. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. Buffalo's opponent in that championship game.
They were indeed the Kansas. What? Nope. Hang on, because I'm going for the '94 playoffs.
The
93 season into 94.
Yep, the Kansas City Chiefs, 30-13.
Ironically enough, the same final score as the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. We have a saying on the kickoff, Eric, and I'm pretty sure you know the one I'm leaning towards here.
Go big or go Homer.
The Buffalo Bills win this game outright. Whether Mahomes plays or doesn't. And the reason I say that is because Mahomes is coming off of potentially being in the concussion protocol, potentially being choked out by the Cleveland defender, potentially having an issue with a vertebrae in his neck. And I think Mahomes plays scared if he does play. And the reason I say that is because he saw what this Bills defense did to a healthy Lamar Jackson last week. I genuinely believe that these Bills are a team of destiny this year. And while I will not be disappointed if we lose this game, I don't think the ride is quite over yet. I have a gimmick infringement of my own, Eric.
Okay, go right ahead.
Assuming that these results hold with our predictions here, Buffalo has a chance to do something for the first time in NFL history. Do you know what it is?
I'm thinking.
Back to back to back MVPs. Patrick Mahomes in 2018, Lamar Jackson in 2019, presumptively Aaron Rodgers in 2020.
Wow. Well, damn, that just blew my mind. How the hell are you gonna blow my mind on my own damn show?
Let's go Buffalo. And I will be rooting my fan heart out come Sunday evening.
And Jason, if this does happen and you're not strong enough to take up that torch that you promised, I will carry it for you.
And what torch would that be?
You know what we mean.
Making a certain Kansas City fan's life hell.
I have to retract that after the events of today and the outpouring messages that person sent me.
That's fine. I'll bust his balls enough for all of us.
See, why does he have to go and not be a dick now all of a sudden? Of all times, just really, now you flip the switch, now the power's out? Fan-fucking-tastic.
Jason, the football conversation is done, man. If you feel the need to say anything here, the floor is yours.
All right. I'm going to try to get through this. I'll apologize, most of you guys, if you guys listen to the kickoff. Know that my joking meaner, my asshole attitude from that. But I'm going to let you guys in to see the side of me that nobody sees, and that's the side that actually gives a fuck about those that he loves. I lost my mother unexpectedly at 10:15. Hey, I can do this. Lost my mother at 10:15 this morning unexpectedly. I was fully set to prepare to be there for her this evening when she lost her husband at 6:57 p.m. Unfortunately, there was an intervention and I lost my mom first. And I just want to take this opportunity to say, if you do have loved ones, make sure you tell them you love them. Because last night was the last time I spoke to my mother, and I went to bed knowing that I had to be there for her today when she was going through something that she wasn't ready to deal with. Little did I know that I was going to have to face everything with a gut punch and be strong and handle everything facing this world without the one person that I always had in my corner. Despite anything that ever happened, I always had my mom. For 42 years, she was my best friend. She was my biggest fan when I played sports. It took her 24 years before she missed a sporting event that I participated in. Whether it be Major League Football, baseball, basketball, all the way up through my summer church leagues, my AAU tournaments. The first time my mother missed a sporting event that I participated in was a church league basketball game when I was 24 years old because she got sick. I want to just go on the record to say, those you love, make sure they know that. You never know when the last time you say you love them will be. This isn't typically me. I'm doing everything I can to hold this back and try to get through everything I have to say without just losing all composure. But I'm blessed with such great friends as Harry and Eric that I will be definitely needing to lean on over the next couple of days when I have to lay my mom to rest for the final time. And I'm really questioning if I'm strong enough. And if anybody knows me, knows that that's not me. I like to put on the tough exterior. I'm an asshole. I don't need nobody outside. But right now, you find out who you can really depend on. It's those people that, yeah, they can leave a comment or they can, send a brief message, but it's the true friends that bring you on for 45 minutes or so to take your mind off the worst day of your life to talk about sports. And for that, I love you guys. And it means so much to me that you don't really realize it. And I don't know how I'll ever be able to repay you guys for this.
Jason
We got you.
Teasley, let me tell you something. I try not to tear up my damn self. We are all human beings. We all suffer not just moments of joy, but moments of pain, sadness. We have a lot on our emotional spectrum. Sometimes there will be calls for strength, and sometimes weakness is okay. And in a time like this, it's definitely okay. It is okay to feel this. It is okay to question things. But just know, no matter how things are, no matter how things get, whenever you're at a moment and you just feel weak, we're here to lift you up. We'll be that strength.
We jokingly refer to Jason as the unprofessional because of the idea behind the kickoff being that Jason kind of wings everything. The problem is that sometimes real life intervenes and there is no game plan for what you're going through. And this is one of those situations. We talked about it earlier in the show before you joined us that they say that time heals all wounds, but it doesn't. It maybe eases the pain, but it never goes away. I make a habit of quoting music at important moments because music is something that lifts me. Music is something that helps ease my mind. Music is something that allows me to see a different perspective and allow myself to be engulfed in the moment and everything around me. The line that I quoted earlier by Maynard James Keenan was from a song called Wings for Marie by Tool. The line was, "You believed. You believed in things no one could see. You believed in me." And it was referring to his mother, Judith Marie Keenan. While thinking about what Jason was saying there, another song popped into my head. And before Eric wraps us up, the line that I'm going to quote here is from a band called Breaking Benjamin. The vocalist's name is Ben Burnley. And this is one of the songs that I listened to repeatedly when my aunt passed away. The song is called The Great Divide. And the chorus goes, "So I'll wait for you as I keep your faith alive. And I'll pray for you as we cross this great divide." Know that she's proud of you, Jason. Know that she's proud of the man you became, the husband you are to Amber, the father you are to Kent. Know that she's never truly gone as long as her spirit lives on in all of you. Know that regardless of how dark the days may seem, there's a guardian angel on your shoulder looking out for you now. I am not a religious man, but I genuinely believe that those we care about look after us after they're gone. And I am certain that your mother will be doing that for you. If there is anything you need, you know how to find me, sir.
And the same here. Now, again, I may not call back right away, but I'm damn sure going to go ahead, pick up that phone, and answer that bell, regardless.
And I appreciate that more than you guys know.
You and your family are in my thoughts tonight, Jason.
Same. I'm sending all the good vibrations that I can to let this process go smoothly and to give you that little boost so that way we'll be beside you and you can carry on.
Once again, tonight's episode of Point of Viewer is dedicated to Georgetta and Wetzel.
For in their honor and their memory. While time may not be a panacea, we can do more to make sure that it's not just a disinfectant salve. You've been listening to Point of Viewer. Do your homework. Do your research. Don't forget to be awesome. And hug your loved ones. Or if you have to socially distance because pandemic, I get it. At the very least, tell them you love them.